Good afternoon. On behalf of PRC.bd, I cordially invite you to our 8th international seminar on impact of COVID-19 on poor, recommendations for assistance in Southeast Asia. We have our guests today from India, Malaysia, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you.
So we hope these people are very important in this area, and it's also in this field of COVID-19 situation. So we hope they will be giving their recommendations on this burning health issue that is plaguing the world. So I would like to invite our chair, Dr. Professor Akbaruddin Ahmed, to say a few words at the beginning of the seminar and welcome the people in the seminar, the participants in the seminar. Dr. Akbaruddin is our chairman, PRC.bd. He is a very renowned professor. He has worked in finance, education management, and development issues. And he has also been the VC of Darul Ihsan University. So I would like to invite him to welcome the participants. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nilofer. You see, all my friends and guests here, Dr. Nilofer is the driving force of PRC. She's an agricultural scientist, and you know how these scientists are. She makes us really work hard, all of us. Alhamdulillah, I would like to welcome all the honorable guests here on today's panel. We have Professor Shahidul Islam, who's the keynote speaker. Then we have Professor Venkata Rao from the Pondicherry University, a very renowned professor. Then we have Mr. Samin from Sri Lanka, Dr. Chandra from Nepal, Mr. Rais Ahmad from Kashmir, and Shajib Hussain from Bangladesh. We have our respected CEO, Dr. Mahfuzul Haq, who was unfortunately down with COVID. Now he's recovered. Alhamdulillah, he is convalescing. Today we have our guest of honor is Mr. Talha from Pakistan, a very renowned international consultant. We would love to hear from him. And we have a special guest here, Professor Venkata Rao. We're looking forward to our program being conducted by Colonel Ashraf, who is our honorable advisor. Today he'll be the moderator. And our tech support guy is Tawhid Alam. Before we go further, I would request Dr. Mahfuzul Haq to say a few words about PRC for those of us who are not familiar with PRC. Dr. Mahfuzul Haq, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Well, I welcome you all to this June International Conference organized by Policy Research Center, Bangladesh. Well, when the whole world is reeling under this onslaught of pandemic, we are trying to make some space for ourselves because you know perhaps there is no point of getting lost. So let's look if there is any space, and we can discuss among ourselves how to resolve the crisis created by COVID-19. And so our topic today is the effect of COVID-19 and on the poor, and how we look at it from the Asian perspective. Well, a little bit of introduction on the Policy Research Center Bangladesh is that this is a national civil society think tank, and we have been conducting research. We have been organizing seminars, conferences, both at national level as also at international level, on leading important issues like socio-economic development of Bangladesh, South Asian region, and regional development. So all these stuffs, they do come in our discussion. And since the start of the pandemic early last year, we have been conducting this Zoom meeting every month on various national issues, global issues, like challenges of the sustainable development goals, budgeting, banking, youth development, and energy policy, and a lot of challenges posed by COVID-19. So we have been discussing every month related to these issues. Now, the topics we are looking into from this Policy Research Center Bangladesh is that these global issues of the Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals, on environment and development, disaster management, disaster risk reduction, so tourism for that matter. So these are all of topical interest, and we have been discussing that among ourselves and with our peers, with our colleagues, with our with the researchers, academicians of this region. Now, our journey started some 2 decades back, well chaired by Professor Dr. Akbaruddin Ahmed. You have been introduced to him. He's a noted educationist and the former Vice Chancellor of Darul Ihsan University, Bangladesh. And he has been the chair of this organization since its inception 2 decades back. And we are really grateful to Professor Akbaruddin for steering this organization, steering this think tank towards, to make it a center of excellence. So, he has been doing for last 2 decades or so. Now, we are also an active member of some national and regional organizations like NAPSIPAG, some of you might be knowing. That's Network of Asia Pacific Schools and Institutions of Public Administration and Governance, Asia Pacific School of Psychology Association, APSA, Bangladesh School Psychology Society. So these some sort of associations, not only national but also regional. We are active member, and we have been participating in their conferences, in their seminars. And most important thing is that good number of books are coming out from these seminars, and those are edited by our great chairman, Professor Akbaruddin Ahmed. So he is also an editor, looking to this, this academic pursuit. So from that perspective, we are also grateful to our chairman for who has been taking all the troubles as of now, making us together, keeping us together. And we are regularly contributing in some journals as well, and we are also bringing out journals as well. So based on that, we have our website. I welcome you to visit our website and see for yourselves what you are doing in this part of the world, and what else to be done, So you are most welcome to visit us and see, and I would like to believe that when the pandemic is gone, definitely there would be some silver lining and will be an opportunity to meet again sometime, somewhere. I wish you good luck. I wish this conference a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. May I request the coordinator, our respected honorable advisor, Colonel Ashraf, to take over from here. Colonel Ashraf.
Sir, actually, thank you very much, sir. Now I request our research fellow of PRC.bd, Dr. Nilufar Karim, to give the welcome address.
Oh, that is done already. Colonel Saab, that is finished. That is done. So now you invite the keynote speaker.
Actually, that will be done according to the program, change program.
Yeah,
that will be done by the coordinator.
That is done. That is done. Invite the keynote speaker, please.
নীলুফার আপা করার কথা না যে
হয়ে গেছে তো ভাই, আপনি ছিলেন কই?
Okay.
You are the moderator of the program, so you moderate the seminar and introduce the speakers, and you also discuss everything that the speaker says.
But
Okay?
according to the change program, you are supposed to do that. I'm getting confused actually.
No,
Now the chairman
right.
is saying that
Thank you. Please, please go ahead and moderate the program.
If the chairman says, I'll have to really now take over. All right, the gentlemen, today actually the subject is effect of COVID-19 on the poor people, and this is the solutions that can be suggested for the whole South Asia. Now, in South Asian countries, we have got Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. So there are 10 countries. We could not accommodate all. We have got speakers from 5 countries, and I will, in the first paper will be, the keynote paper will be presented by Professor Shahidul Islam. Professor Shahidul Islam is the professor of economics in University Malaysia, Sarawak, and he's a very reputed scholar. We are very happy that he has agreed to give time for our audiences. I will now invite Professor Dr. Shahidul Islam to present his paper. Professor Shahidul Islam.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let me give 1 second to adjust my system. Okay, done. The picture is clear?
Yeah,
picture sound.
The picture is clear. What you should do is, camera, you got to adjust the camera a little bit so that you come in the middle of the screen. Yeah, little more up. No, you are going down.
Is okay?
No. Your face is not seen. You are not in the center.
It's fine.
It's
okay.
Better.
Is okay?
Okay, fine.
Honorable Chairman, Policy Research Center, Bangladesh, Professor Dr. Akbaruddin Ahmed, the organizing committee of this conference, speakers, participants, media people, my heartfelt regards. I'm Shahidul Islam from University of Malaysia, Sarawak, a son of Bangladesh soil. It's an honor indeed, and my pleasure to meet all of you for sharing and learning the impact of COVID-19 on economy and health of South Asian countries. My main topics today okay. I'm going to discuss the shifting of economy, and that will be my main focus, and I divided the main focus into 2 parts: affected area in microeconomy and crisis in society during COVID-19. Second focus, an empirical model to mitigate crisis during and post-COVID-19. At the beginning, I'm praying to Almighty and my submission to Almighty to enable us to serve vulnerable people suffering from COVID-19. Especially, I pray to Almighty for friends, families living in most affected countries, including India and Bangladesh, for getting of relief from suffering of COVID-19. Based on the recent study 2020, the labor distribution that belongs to the poor group in agriculture is about 47%. Industry, that is a privately owned industry, is about 23%. And service industry, including self-employment, is about 30%. The data published by the UNDP and UNICEF, it demonstrates that the employment in agriculture is reducing in this shape. And in the service sector belongs to the employment, their pattern is little poor condition than employment in agriculture. The most affected group is employment and industry, who is a privately owned industry. The data published by the various organizations, it demonstrates that employment reduced in agriculture is about 20%, especially in Southeast Asian countries, is an average figure. And service industry self-employment, like small business shops, about 35% people get unemployed. And most affected is 55% in industry, who is a privately owned industries. And the data explain that the agriculture people are little got the economic freedom, and who is help them to reduce their effect on employment. And they're in a good position compared to service industry and industrial and these manufacturing industry as well. The employees are at industry, economic freedom is almost zero, and most vulnerable group in the Southeast Asian countries. The most affected area that the people are suffering are children, adult, and the treatment cost that is relating to SDG 3. Due to the shortage of money, people are not getting help from the service sector. The food and nutrition is another big issue that will affect to achieve SDG goal 1. And safe water is another issue, and it is not much more than compared to SDG 3 and SDG 1. And quality education is the most affected area because almost schools are closed and the education quality is declining. So these 4 SDG will be a burden to the society to achieve goal 2030. And it looks that this figure the effect is not proportional. It's depending on the economic freedom. Agriculture got economic freedom. That's why their suffering is less, employment is less, and most affected area, this manufacturing industry, because they have no economic freedom, they're fully dependent on salary. Why service industry and employment industry, they are suffering most? So various data demonstrate that it is due to economic shift towards very small number of people. We know at the beginning of this century or the early 90s, the 80% resource was belongs to about 20% people. Now is reducing to 85% resource to 15% people. It is one of the main reasons. That's why the people belongs to service industry and manufacturing industry, they're suffering a lot because people are not, rich people are not spending on SDG 3, SDG 1, SDG 6, and SDG 4. The data published by IMF 2020, it looks that GDP, almost all the countries in Southeast Asia is negative except Bangladesh and Bhutan. And the price index, the Pakistan is the highest, about 10%, and the Bangladesh 5.6%, and India is little better, 4.9%. But if we consider the GDP growth, India minus 10.3. So these two information demonstrate that the economy is shifting to a sustainable level, to a dangerous level. Why shifting economy towards negative? The data saying negative, the positive 19, almost down to negative 2020. And one reason, economy is concentrated to a number of people of the world. The tendency move, and it indicates maybe in next 50 years, the 90% economy will be concentrated to 10% people. Okay. The question is the post-COVID-19 and the current crisis, how to control and how to achieve sustainable development goal. So this answer we must get from the various in-depth research. Let's see the model for mitigating the crisis. If we consider 2019 is a benchmark or the baseline, now the 20 and 21, the economy and the employment curve is appear in this shape. When the industry people and service people lost their job, they try to move to the agriculture. So then load in agriculture, economy is increased. So the further this area will be affected. Now how to solve this? The current production model of this agriculture let we give one example only, the agriculture industry. So the current production model is this. So now if we can improve this model, then this line will be up, and the people, unemployment people, these two sector will get the job. That is conceptual model, and many people of the world now working on this line. Okay, it is also identified that the agriculture could potentially absorb some employment people.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. You are just left with another 4 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the model is that in the labor, and we have added we need to add some energy. We need some fertilizer and water for increased production, and also we need to supply economy to the technological training to the people to increase the production. Then we expect that Q amount of production will increase. Then the total economy can shift from Q1 to Q2. So this Q2 this Q2 amount will contribute to absorb the unemployment labor. So this is the model currently is accepted, but the additional product must be linked with the supply chain. Otherwise the product will be unsolved, and the economy and agriculture will not benefit, and the employment from this line to this line will not shift. So this is the one of the solution. Okay. So now the conclusion is, okay, the government support is not enough to address COVID-19 effect. Social funding and social assistance are essential, and government need to pay attention on tax relief, VAT relief, and reduction of tariff of utilities, and that will contribute to reduce the price of the commodity. And the farmer must be linked with the supply chain to reduce the price of the food, and farmer will get the right price. The last point is social education is very much essential to address all this issue. Only theoretical concept and lecture will not solve, because the people must know at the village level and the poor how to address the problem. So they must be trained to manage the SDG goal 3. They must to manage the food and nutrition SDG goal 1. They must manage water for agriculture and health, and they must manage the environment SDG 7, SDG 13. So these all are the highly recommended by the expert and recommendation from the experience. Thank you very much for giving me time to share my experience. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shahidul Islam, internationally acclaimed economist who often really presents long papers of 1 or 2 hour duration in the international conferences. Here, in very nutshell, he has given us very important points. Sir, I will request you to give us a synopsis or a short synopsis of your recommendations, so that we can forward it from our think tank to the appropriate government ministry. And I will request the discussants to take his points and then remain ready for discussion. At this point, I am going to invite Professor Venkata Rao who is a professor of tourism and travel management at the Pondicherry Central University of Pondicherry Union Territory. He received his MHRM from Andhra University and MBA from University of Madras. He completed FDP from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He obtained PhD in management from Tezpur Central University, Assam, for his thesis on HRD in steel industries and India. With this, he has got a very long credential. So I will now request Professor Venkatarao to present his paper, please.
So thank you very much, Ashrafji. Very good afternoon to all the panel members and then paper presentators in this international webinar, especially focusing on the impact of COVID-19 on poor, especially in South Asia, how it is. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are loud and clear. You have got only 10 minutes in your hand.
Okay, sure. I'm not going to touch all the points because other resource persons might have focused on other areas like agriculture and then employment. I'm just looking at some of the issues like social implications and then social security measures and tourism and travel management. How the COVID is influenced on implications on tourism and travel industry. So I'll just focus on that. So before that, let me just talk about South Asia. So of that. So this the sector, the part of the world is so unique because here you have kind of the population where you'll find the different characteristics, right? So the population of South Asia is about 1.891 billions, close to 1.9 billions, are about 1/4 of the world populations. So before COVID-19 pandemic, if you just look at the South Asia, 649 millions, the people in South Asia were moderately or severely the food insecure, and 271 millions were severely the food insecure, and similarly 36% of the child were stunted and 16% were accurately malnourished. So this is the condition of South Asia. So when you look at the South Asia from this perspective, the South Asia is it has certain characteristics like the poorest region in the world in terms of about 1/3 of the world population lives in the region with the 70% of rural area. Okay, so this this is a kind of a different the condition. So which you will find that here. So there are the greater challenges because of the COVID-19, and this region, a larger population and highly rated the poverty and deployable health infrastructure, the poor socio-economic the conditions, inadequate social protection systems, and limited access to the water and then sanitation the facilities, and inadequate the living the space arrangements. If you just look at from this perspective, the South Asia, though it has its own the merits in terms of the cultural, the economic resources, and it has its own the drawbacks in terms of the facing any kind of health the crisis. So of course, when you look at the first the wave of the pandemic, this situation. So when you compare with the developed countries, South Asia is better in terms of showing the number of the positive cases and fatality situations. So when you just look at the particular aspect, as other resource persons are very clearly mentioned about the COVID-19 impact on the agriculture and then the employment especially. So you can see that the economy as a whole, we can see that while the pandemic is still developing, and then the acute economic impact has yet to fully known. So how it is going to influence, especially in the second the wave that is there in India, which is actually now threatening, and then a kind of the situation where now the country is going to declare a kind of health emergency. So that is actually what is happening. And recently, a few days back, even Prime Minister of India has taken the word of health emergency, the terminology. So that means we don't know what is going to happen in the coming future. In this context, you can see impact on the migrant and then migrant labor, especially if you look at, I'm just looking at from the Indian perspective. So due to restrictions in travel and the mobility and the gathering, the most of affected sector are the tourism, sports, entertainment, that is cinema, education, transport, manufacturing, migration, and then other the sectors. If you look at the South Asia, the countries rely on the foreign the currency. One of the main aspect is the loss of employment, and then you can see the absence of the travel back home. And so most of the migrant labor, because most of the people are working in the unorganized sector, and 70% are from the rural background, agriculture base. So these people all of a sudden, because of this COVID-19, they lost employment, and they lost employment, and they are not able to even meet the necessary the food and livelihood. So in that context, you can see that so many migrant laborers, they just they face a lot of problems. Especially if you see the recent the survey that conducted in the Bihar state of India and Uttar Pradesh also, they reported 73% of the respondents, migrant householders, have lost their jobs and then main income source. So that means 73% the migrant labor now at present they are out of job. So that means you can see that how much the problem is there. The another important sector even across South Asian countries, and the majority of the population in either self-employed or engaged in the agriculture and then related activities. Service and industry sector are other the major employers in the region. While micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs and the information sectors engaged in the largest workforce. If you look at for instance, in India, 36 the millions of SMEs employed 60 million people and contributed significantly in the national economy. If you see the Nepal, MSMEs generates over 2 million jobs and contributes 22% of the country's GDP. In other South Asian countries like MSMEs also play a very important role in providing employment and then income, contributing to the exports and then earning foreign exchange. The informal sector in general and MSMEs particularly hit the COVID-19, and then this MSME sector is now completely not in a position to recover. So in Pakistan, if you look at, for example, about 12 million the workers were likely to face layoff due to lockdown and then the country's sluggish economic recovery. So it is also anticipated that if COVID-19 induced situations restricts the GDP growth rate between 0 and then 1.5%. So that is the situation.
You have only 2 minutes left.
Yeah. So I'm just coming to the importance the sector like inadequate social security coverage is another the major the character of South Asia, because in the social security is very poor and health the conditions are very bad. So the infrastructure is not up to that mark. In this conditions, I have some suggestions to offer. The suggestions I would like to give you some suggestions in this the background, the plan for economic recovery from COVID-19 in terms of linking that the grassroots level agriculture sector and then farmers and then even SMSCs, the sectors, and we need a kind of the plan for economic recovery out of these situations. The second the suggestion is develop a roadmap for achieving short, medium, and then long-term the goals. For example, we have to now develop a kind of long-term plan, keeping in mind short-term returns and short-term the result. So that is what is required. The third important thing is the physical monitoring and then development intervention, and where you can see that short-term focus will be giving the long-term result. So at the same time, if you see another most important the suggestion that I would like to offer is the social protection. So to protect the poor and then vulnerable the groups and then migrant workers and then compensate the loss of income, and the governments in the South Asian countries supposed to come with a kind of the compensation for their daily work to come out from their the poor conditions like employment for daily wage and various construction activities and the road and then infrastructure activities. So it is like a food, the providing food grains for day-to-day work and giving the minimum work for the poor people in the rural areas. So these are the main suggestions I would like to offer in this the context. I'm just going to send a kind of a small write-up out of my paper. And then thank you very much for giving the opportunity to share my thoughts on this particular very pertinent topic, that is how actually poor people are actually suffering now in the South Asian countries. That is the 70% of rural people, and then the billions of people they are now the suffering across the globe. So with this, thank you very much for organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Venkata Rao. Wonderful presentation. I understand that if given a lot of time, you could have really satisfied everybody with a lot of data and information. Particularly, India is not a small country; it's a huge country. It's you can say combination of too many people. In our countries now, and I'll thank you for your understanding that we need a synopsis from you, which will be forwarded to the government as a suggestion.
Sure.
In fact, what is happening is the poor people, the effect on the poor people. I just give you one example. In Dhaka city, you will find rickshaw pullers. A rickshaw puller in Dhaka city is not a very, you can't say really poor man. I mean, he is going without food. No, his income is quite okay. He helps his family and supports his family and lives. But think about his stock of food in his house. 3 to 4 days maximum. Now, when there is a lockdown for 7 days, there is a lockdown for 14 days, what this man is going to do? Because he cannot take out his rickshaw outside and his daily income is not there. I'm telling about only one sector. There are too many sectors. There are too many people in these areas, those who are daily laborers and those who are day to day, they earn their bread. Whereas due to lockdown, due to the instability, the absolutely closure of the economy or economic wheels, now we have got greater problems. Thank you very much for your recommendation. And Professor Shahidul Islam also has given a wonderful insight of the whole gamut. We have got our friends, Dr. Chandra Upadhyay from Nepal waiting, Professor Shalom from AMU, Aligarh Muslim University waiting. And before I call them, I'll now invite our friend from Sri Lanka, senior professor, senior lecturer, M.A.M. Samim. M.A.M. Samim is in the Department of English Language, Faculty of Arts and Culture, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. He is the president of Sri Lanka School Psychology Association and country secretary of Asia Pacific School Psychology Association. And more than that, I know him as a person who has got solution for every problem. We had been in an international seminar where he was looking after the administration, always smiling and never tired. But just to tell you, just to inform you, few days back, he got infected with an insect on his eye, on his left eye, and it was almost was inactive. But Alhamdulillah, he has recovered. Now, I'm very happy that he has accepted our invitation. One information for you is that he has completed his PhD, paper is accepted, waiting anytime for distribution of sweets. So online distribution of sweets, I don't know how he is going to tackle it. But as I said, he has got solution for all problems. COVID-19 also has created problem for the poor people. I hope Professor Shamim is going to come up with his ideas. Professor Shamim, please. You have got 10 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, let me thank Professor Akbaruddin and my brother Ashraf, Dr. Ashraf, and all distinguished guests for inviting me to this this presentation. first let me talk about now. Today I am going to talk about not about the the big thing like the economy or whatever it might be was talking by the keynote speaker, but I'm going to use the practical aspect. What is COVID-19, and we all know about what is called COVID-19. Then how it impacted on low-income people, and practical aspect of what is going on there and what we can do, and our responsibilities as civil society. We all know that it's a very, very dangerous virus, and as of yesterday, now more than 148 million cases have been affected and 3.12 million dead. Then the source of coronavirus. Now we have so many different stories about how it came and whether it is a natural virus or spread from the snakes, bats, or bioweapon, or it is 5G things or conspiracy theory, and all those things, big things people are talking about it. We don't want to bother about it now. And also people say it's this spread through how spread it, droplet or airborne. Now earlier they said that droplets, now they say the airborne. But no, now we don't have any time to think about all these, the big things. What we can do is, we can do as a responsible citizen, but we have to do it. That's what I'm going to talk about it today. Now, this COVID-19 worsened pre-existing inequalities. Now we know that now among these low-income people, poor people, now we have all these, already pre-existing inequalities. Now it's worsened it now. Therefore, the mostly affected groups, often old women, children, indigenous, sex workers, beggars, homeless, small and marginal farmers, small and medium business people, daily wages, it affected. In economy now, when we say that loss of job, jobless, half salary, no salary, then small, medium business did not function, no income, we had all these things, and finally it led to the stress and psychological problems. We know that farmers already now they have mostly affected people, and now they have thrown their vegetable and all. Because when I was during the first lockdown, I thought that yes, there is going to be food shortage. So we stopped everything. Later we found that it was freely available because it was the transportation issue and everything. Now it was freely available, and now the farmers they found this, and also the small business people now and small business people affected because the supermarket started their the door-to-door sellings and everything, and door-to-door delivery. Therefore, small business affected. And also domestic violence. Due to this poverty, domestic violence now increased. And also now it's a very, very important issue, education. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
You are audible.
Very much audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Education, universities and colleges. University now we had a lot of problems, online delivery, problem related to practical tests via online mode, online assessment, so many things. We had this issue. Then also now about the learning tools, mobile phones, laptops, and now in foreign countries, the developed countries and wealthy countries, now they don't have any problem, but we have the low income people, the poor people, they had this. Now you can see the richest versus poor people. Now they have in the classroom and even home, they have gadgets and everything, but even now we don't have a place. Most of these countries, developing countries, we don't have any place to sit and study. Then how can we afford to these gadgets and all these, learning tools? And also you can see that, that relationship in different components of these, which, COVID-19 break, lockdown and distance and quarantining, media, news and everything now, it led people for the mental health issue. And now we know that now there are many mental issue problems we have been facing, and based on this age group now, earlier now I was talking about these different age groups. Now they have been affected differently. And also work-related issue. When we say that psychology, mental health issue, now there are some issues related to work-related issues. Then we have to think how to mitigate it. Now people now wherever you go, now thousands and thousands of workshops are being conducted to say that how to do this. Now we are telling all these big things, we just go to these, guidelines, follow these, health guidelines. Now these poor people, people from India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka is very poor. Can they do it? Can they use this bodies? But you see, now these people now they are covering with the leaves and other things, not N95 marks or other stuff. So these people, how can they do it? How can we help these people? Even I can see that the last week, now dead bodies without any face mask, now they are just crying on the body. But in Western countries, the developed countries, now even if they want to carry their parents and their relatives, now they wear full kits. So we have to educate these people. That is my concern. How we can mitigate it and how we can reduce it. Now you see these people now, they are just kissing and crying and carrying without any protective kits. So how we can do that? Therefore now basic things we have to give them awareness. As a responsible citizen, we have to do that. We have to give them how to wash hands, but nothing is not going to cost anything. But people are not doing it. And also using soap and maintaining distance. Yesterday, I went to, after 3-4 months now, we got our students to the university. When I went to the lecture hall, people were just sitting next to each other's, and no face cover, no mask, nothing. The windows were closed. So I went and told them, please follow some guidelines. Other lecturers now just they went and they did their lectures and came out. So even educated people, young people, now they are not following these guidelines, which doesn't cost anything. Therefore, now what we have to do is we have to educate these people how to follow these health guidelines, and also wearing masks and removing masks. People don't know how to do it. Sometimes they touch like this and put it in the bin. Now, these are very dangerous. These are small things. We have to just educate these people to do this, and also people wearing here, the mask here. Now, we are not doing that as educated people. Even they are doing these things now. So my concern is, my idea is, we have to educate these people. And also now we can do that, game therapy. Now we said that psychological problems and everything. So for to engage people, we can use game therapy, and also art therapy. We can use some art therapy, and also yoga. Recently now pranayama. Now yesterday I received a WhatsApp message about these gas, oxygen cylinders and everything. I was thinking whether it's true or not. I was not in a position to post this one. So I sent to a professor in India who is a medical professor. I said, sir, is it true? He said, yes, it's true. But what you have to do is you have to please ask them to try some yoga and pranayama, the breathing exercise. People can do it. Nothing is going to cost for this one. So that is my, and also we have to be very careful about the natural remedies. Natural remedies are good, but some people, they are giving some different kind of, wrong information through YouTube and things like that. But we have to use it, but we have to care about it. But we have to tell our people how we have to do it, and also exercise, indoor games, and which gives them some very good boost for them. And also we have to teach them how to be positive. And fear and stress weaken our immune system. We all know that. Therefore, we have to help the people to just get out of this fear and be positive. And also, never let a bad situation bring out the worst in you. Be strong and choose to be positive. That is the message that I would like to tell you. And we have to teach others. That's what we have to do. As educators, people just forward WhatsApp messages and things and big things. Now they are conspiracy theory, how it happened, and all those things now they are doing it, but without following the basic guidelines. That is my concern, and that is my message I have to tell you. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, M.M. Samim from Sri Lanka. Wonderful, though you are sick, still you have prepared a wonderful presentation, and it is affecting, and you could not even touch the mental health portion also, I understand, because of time. But I will suggest the same thing. I'll tell you also to give us a synopsis, which can be, as a recommendation, we can forward to the government agencies. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Yes, sir. I want to tell you one thing. Yesterday, I received some messages and I asked Professor Rajendra sir whether I can forward this one. He said this is a true story, but now they have some problems. Better you try some, the yoga and some breathing exercises, which might help them. And also the people now, they are just handling the patients without any basic, PP kits and masks and everything. That is very dangerous. That's why it spreads very quickly. So we have to educate these people.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Actually, there are a lot of dimensions of it. One is going beyond the capacity of the government. Like in India, you see, India is a huge country, but how much capacity the government can have. And you see the patients are now in Delhi on the streets, they are dying. And cremation is being done in a very private way. So here we are really thinking about the poor people, because though I cannot go and tell the poor people about, to maintain the physical immunity, increase the immunity and all, because he will say that I need food, I need to sustain, I need to have, like for physical distances, the carrying by motorbike lifts have been banned. Now we have got hundreds of young people earning with this service only. Now, only for one service, if it has been, well, just judicially, it has been stopped, but now it is affecting too many people. So at this stage, I will thank you very much for your wonderful paper. At this stage, I am going to invite Dr. Chandra. Dr. Chandra Upadhyay is our friend from Nepal, Bhojepur Tule, and he is a competent, very responsible sociologist, skilled in teaching professional, an independent researcher with an established reputation in social research, curriculum enhancement, and integration of technology. We are going to really find a focus on Nepal from him. I know that I should have given him enough time. Only 10 minutes we are giving Dr. Chandra. So the floor is yours.
Onek dhanyavad, dear President. Yes, I am from a town called Biratnagar, and my tool means a small para. It's a para, I think. Yeah, that is Vijaypur.
Okay. No problem. I'll visit Nepal after the.
Yes, thank you. Most welcome, sir. And thank you very much indeed. I must be thankful to Professor Akbaruddin. He has been my mentor and guide since the day I met him at Jawaharlal Nehru University. Constant support, constant motivation, and where and how about of me, I really appreciate. Nilufar ma'am is very kind. In fact, Policy Research Center itself is very kind to me. I'm really thankful. My request at this juncture to Policy Research Center and similar other organizations which have been working on this pandemic-related issues nationally, say locally or regionally, let all the findings be circulated. Sometimes I feel the respective governments, either they do not know the issues or they do not take it seriously. This feeling coming to me because I realize the same situation, what we experienced 1 year before and what we are experiencing today. People are asking questions, what the governments did, in fact, what the governments did when they got some time. Why we were not aware? So I request Policy Research Center to circulate whatever finding comes to the respective governments. Yes, sir, I'll not take 10 minutes because I have really learned a lot from the other papers already presented, and I have very little to say. What I saw, Kathmandu is the capital city of Nepal. What I saw or what I'm seeing these days, large number of people, women and children, men, women and children are on the street. They're walking down to their villages from the town where they had been for a livelihood. The question comes in my mind, for what reason they were in the town? They were the city makers, they were the city runners. But the moment a pandemic comes, the moment a crisis comes, the moment a blockade comes, the moment an earthquake comes, they are forced to climb down to our villages. They have to walk for days. They have to be overcrowded in the public buses, where the fare is several times more than regular. Sir, am I audible?
You are audible, sir. You are audible.
Yeah, thank you. So what I think, a question comes in my mind. When people are searching their livelihood, when people are searching their food, they approach the local government, they ask for some relief, and the local government in the cities, they deny that those people do not have a permanent resident card in the cities. And already my predecessor said the papers before that people talk about education, people talk about other amenities, but these very people are suffering from their basic needs, their daily needs, their 2 times meal. So how they can think about other precautions or other amenities? In fact, I want to share what I conclude or what I want to suggest. I find that the urban planning itself is a bit faulty somewhere. The urban planners should think about the composition of population in each and every city. What number of people with what background are residing in the city? And what is the frequency of the population increase in the city every year? For what purpose so many people coming as workers in the cities? So if such situation come and again, how can the government address the issue? This is one. Another, the unequal distribution of development. I told in our last conference too about the idea of Pura, providing urban amenities in the rural areas. I still appeal my government or the governments in many of the countries in South Asia that let's think about making the villages equipped, making the villages somehow accessible for all the people so that they can get a minimum food, shelter, education, health, and so on. We are talking about decentralized democracy. Nepal has 3-tier government, the local government, provincial government, and the federal government. I think Bangladesh also has the same thing, or Sri Lanka has the same thing. If it is so, why not the government policy divert towards those places where actually they can hold the people and they do not force the people to leave their birthplaces in search of livelihood? You see the crowds coming from India through the border, and Nepal is, in fact, Nepal is surrounded by India from 3 sides. Nepal is India locked, and we have open border system. The crisis in India now forced thousands of people to move back to homeland because they were in search of job. Thousands of people, they're leaving Kathmandu city and coming down to the villages. This is not the first time. We experienced this, as I said, during the earthquake in 2015, when there was earthquake in Kathmandu, during the economic blockade, when there was blockade in Kathmandu, during the pandemic last year, and again now. So whenever the government gets some time, the government should work on, government should plan what will the government do if the same situation repeats, and it's repeating again and again. I actually find difficult to define the term poor, whom to call poor. And it is very difficult. It is very difficult to define poor and pandemic, because this pandemic doesn't care to which socioeconomic category someone belongs. COVID doesn't care. So everyone is poor. Everyone is poor in front of this COVID Maharaj. So there are people who are struggling for their hands to mouth needs. These are the people whose needs to be addressed. Nepal is a country when there are so many people are already marginalized, so many people are already excluded, and there is a huge economic disparity in distribution. People have two crises to choose. One is the health, another is the hunger. And the number of people suffering from hunger is higher than the people suffering from the health crisis in Nepal. This is the data says so. More people suffered of their food rather than the disease. And in many contexts, I already said the hunger surface, the health situation. Urban poverty has been neglected issue in Nepal, as far I realize. Very limited research, very limited work on urban poverty. And observation showed that the rural urban migration of the workers, they lack the basic amenities, proper housing facilities. Yes, they were poor in the villages, so they entered the cities, but their situation is not improved there. And even the vulnerability is added in situations when crises come. Our chair was giving example of rickshaw pullers. And sir also termed he may not be called a poor. At the existing situation, he may not be a poor because he is the owner of a rickshaw or an auto rickshaw. Compared to him, there may be many other people who do not have a rickshaw of their own. But the moment you are in an urban area, your needs, your requirements differ than the one your fellow who is in the villages. Similarly, the cooperation is also different there. In urban area, there are very less people to cooperate the next door. Whereas in villages, you will have the feeling of sharing. So
you are left with another 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. If the local government doesn't have a data file to count the people and know about their status, every year, every month, we'll be suffering with the same. So again, to go to my conclusion, I appeal my government or any other government in the region that the authorities must employ their policies. They make their own data files. They keep records. Yes, of course, cities do have limitations, but there is an urge that they need to think about every fiscal year when they make their budgets, every fiscal year when they might make their plans. Yes, we are going to do this in the coming year or in the coming 5 years. And there needs a competitive but balanced, decentralized development in the rural areas, which are left behind by all these people in search of job, but they are finally to return to those villages again to save their life when they have only two choices, either the life or the livelihood. They leave their livelihood and they come back to villages for their life. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandra. Wonderful. Actually, the 4 papers we have been presented here today are so important from Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. I am going to request all of you, all the presenters, to take some time to really conceptualize this thing and make it a short synopsis and forward it to PRC for onward submission to the agencies of the government. In fact, the COVID-19 has come and it has stopped everything. It has stopped everything. The chimneys are without any smoke now. The oil is not sold. Oil-rich countries have become almost like, there is no trade. Then tourism is stopped to the nil, and everybody, the countries depending on tourism are suffering. So in a lot of ways, the economies are in the brink of sort of, destruction is there. But we are now talking about the people with low income, people with modest income, people who have lost their job, people who has got their salary curtailed, and they are not in a position to really sustain and maintain their families. These are the people who cannot go onto the street for begging, but they are going hungry. How can they be helped? That is very important. And so long, all these papers, we will be waiting to hear from Mr. Talha about Pakistan after some time. But now, our Professor Shalom from Aligarh Muslim University, he has been waiting and listening to all these papers. And now I am going to invite Professor Shalom. Professor Shalom is the professor of psychology in the Department of Psychology of Aligarh Muslim University. He is a Aligarh veteran, you can say. He has done his master degree and MPhil and PhD in the Department of Psychology and he has done his postdoctorate also, postdoctorate fellowship from Aligarh Muslim University. And before joining the university, he has worked as the family counselor of Delhi Police and CSWB, and as faculty, and worked as a student counselor in Regional Institute of Education, Ajmer. He is a very veteran and still hardworking, going around for research. And I know that I mean, it is very difficult to find him in his station during this pandemic also. He is always around going for research and all. I will now invite our Professor Shalom from Aligarh Muslim University as the discussant. Kindly give your presentation, and you are given 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you.
Professor Shalom.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear? I'm not well. I'm not feeling well.
Can you enhance your sound a little bit?
Yes. I've done all these things. Okay. So I'm suffering from viral. Even though
your throat. I mean, your sound reflects that. Oh, may Allah bless you.
In Aligarh Muslim University, we have lost 20 people within 5 days. The young people, the retired people, and you know the condition of India.
Sir, your sound is not clear. Yeah.
I think there's issue with the mic, I guess.
Mic. Can you move your joints? It will become all right. Joints, and yeah. Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think
it's okay.
Yeah, this is better. Okay. No.
So, Colonel Saab, really we are passing through a very, tough.
The sound is not coming.
So, but I'm getting your sound very clearly.
I can't hear. Can others hear him? Tawheed, can you hear him clearly?
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, now it is okay.
Okay.
Now
Okay. Thank you. So I'm really thankful to Professor Akbaruddin Sahab, and especially you, that you have given me a place to talk with me. And in spite of my illness, still I have 101 fever, but I will try to speak for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not going to tell about the condition of India. Daily, we are getting more than 350 lakh, but it's not a real data, and thousands of people are dying. And still in Aligarh, we are in crisis of medicine and oxygen. So what can I say? So really, I'm very, very much worried about that, because I have lost 10 my close friends and 2 from my own departments. Anyway, so we have to continue our business in all the conditions. Uh, okay, so far as South Asia is concerned, 29% people living in extremely poverty. Around in India, around 14% people are living below the poverty line. Bangladesh, 24.4%, though Bangladesh is progressing in the context of GDP, and they are recovering more so as to Pakistan. But if you see the impact of COVID on low income people. So I think one of my friend from Nepal, he pointed out COVID does not see the poor people, but COVID has influenced the social aspects of poor people, financial aspects of poor people, educational aspects of poor people, and mental health. I'm concerned about the mental health issues. And if you compare the working and non-working people, these poor people have experiencing more depression, anxiety as compared to other people. And particularly, I'm worried about the women. 55% women have been reported a significant impact of COVID related to their income loss. And we know that in Nepal, particularly in Nepal and some parts of India, the women, they are source of livelihood, and if they lost their job, they cannot do anything. So even unemployed people are less mentally and physically resilient. That means the poor people are unable to fight back. So these are the things, and according to this World Bank, COVID-19 is likely to push between 88 and 115 million people into extreme poverty. This is the point of concern. That means in South Asia is expected to account for 63% of new poor. So why you are talking about those who are poor, but new people are pushing in the in the poor condition, and their earning is less than 1.99 dollar per day. So it means if you convert this, so it is only 133 per day. So how he can uh, uh, buy the things for the eating and fulfill the belly of their kids, and forget about their education and health and other things. So these are the grave situations. Forget about their clothes and medicine and other things. So if you look towards the women, they are more likely to work in informal jobs and having caregiving responsibility, and they are on the high risk. So this almost 55% women reported significant impact from COVID-19, and related income loss compared to 34% of the men. So these are the financial aspect. If you see the educational aspect, so somebody was talking about the rural and urban. So only in India, if you see the data of India, 24% urban people, they can attend the class on electronic gadget. But think about the rural people. Only 3% people, and who are these people? They are not affluent. They are poor people. So their children naturally not going to school, and since last 1 year, they don't have the electronic gadget to just to attend the online classes. So, and even they are studying in the government school, the government teachers, they are not trained to handle the. There is no internet connectivity. There is a poor electricity connectivity. So all these things are very worsen the things. Come to the psychological aspect. As Shamim Bhai pointed out, the four things: the behavioral, the emotional, the physical, and the thought level. So far as their behavior is concerned, they have the passive lifestyle, lack of daily routine, they have withdrawn from the friends. They cannot take opportunity to share their feelings and other things with this. Then emotional problem they are facing, that like anxiety, irritability, sadness, boredom. Then thought level, they have also some problem. They are worried about food. This Colonel Sahab was also pointed out that regarding the food. So they are worried about food. If they are taking this time, then from where the next time they will take food. Then they have also fear of getting sick, or if anybody of the family members will getting sick, then who will bring food for them. Then at also physical level, they are suffering. So so the big challenge for the income group people now is financial, as a source of income has dropped too low to face another big challenge. In the end, I'm not going to take much time because I'm not feeling well. What I will suggest is that this is the Ramzan period, and we should contribute for their livelihoods. So first of all, if we can able to provide food, then we can think of medicine. So whatever we can do, you people have a good organization. The contribution can be collected at a point, and then at least food should be distributed. I'm not in favor of giving money, but I'm in favor of giving food. And I'm also doing. I don't give money, but I give the ration and other things. Number one. Number two, for their kids, for their children, we must organize some, educational classes so that they can continue. Then make them mentally healthy. This is more important. So we are talking about yoga and other things, but if you talk with these poor people, if you spend 10 minutes with these people, I'm sure that they will hug you, and you can enhance their mental health. So it is my experience. Give you time. If Professor Akbaruddin Sahab, a big man, our ex-vice chancellor, if you talk with the poor people, then you cannot imagine the happiness of that people. So so they can increase their mental health. Then motivate towards some religious aspect, because ultimately we have to. So if there are something in our hand and something not in our hand, so these are in our hand to distribute food and other things, but something in not our hand. So if you are able to convince them, just remember your God, Allah or Bhagwan, then he will be. And lastly, counseling is very important. So I will recommend that this organization, they must organize a session on counseling, that how we can reach out to these people. So thank you very much, Colonel Sahab. I'm happy that I'm able to speak 5 to 7 minutes in spite of my.
You have taken 10 minutes. All right. You have taken 11 minutes exactly.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, next time we will meet. And really, I'm suffering from, and my daughter is suffering from viral. We are not suffering from COVID. Sure. But this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are really grateful that in spite of your sickness, in spite of your, unmanageable or better, not good health condition, you have joined, and from the very beginning, from the very start, and you have been here, and you have given wonderful points. In fact, actually, the food package we are giving, in many places people are giving, but that cannot be a permanent solution. Government is giving in affluent countries, they are giving $2,000 to every citizen. In our country, particular sectors, they are getting government help. But what should be the permanent solution? What should be a long-lasting solution? What should be a solution that will really take us to a stability if this situation continues? This is very important. So thank you very much for your wonderful comments. And at this stage, I will invite I'll invite Mr. Rais Ahmed. He is the research scholar on climate and Christopher Group of University of Kashmir. He has done his master's in geography from Jamia Millia, and he is now a research scholar, a wonderful, young, energetic researcher. So I now invite Mr. Rais Ahmed to come up with his presentation.
Sir, let me permit to leave this. Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahfuzul Haq, sir. So with this, I start my presentation.
Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
You are.
Yes,
you
very
are.
much.
You are loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Respected Professor Akbaruddin Ahmad, Chairman, Policy Research Center, Bangladesh, Dr. Mahfuzul Haq, Nilofer ma'am, and other speakers, dear friends and participants, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. This is Rais Ahmad, working as a junior research fellow at the Department of Geography and Disaster Management, University of Kashmir. I am pursuing research on climate change and cryosphere changes in Kashmir Himalayas. So at the very outset, I would like to thank Professor Akbaruddin Ahmad Sahab for giving me an opportunity to put forward my views in an international seminar on the topic, which is very trending and hot topic in the current scenario, entitled Impact of COVID-19 on the Poor, Recommendation for Assistance in South Asia. So please give me a minute. I will share my presentation. So I'll be giving brief overview about what are the existing and prospective economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic in South Asia. What are the challenges and issues faced by the poor, vulnerable population, and what are the likely impacts in the near future, be it short, medium, or long term? How the economic sectors like migration, tourism, the informal sector, and agriculture and rural livelihoods will be affected by the pandemic. What are the key measures and actions taken by South Asian countries to address these challenges? What are the policy responses that are much needed by the national, regional, and global communities to address these changes? So first of all, I will give a brief introduction about the topic. So the dramatic spread of the virus, this virus has threatened human lives, disrupted livelihoods, and affected trade, economy, business, and tourism across the globe. The global economy has begun to show a major disruption and is heading towards a severe recession with an unprecedented economic crisis. As we know that global economy is highly interdependent and integrated to global supply chains. Hence, it has been profoundly affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Although if we see all the countries have faced difficulties due to COVID-19 pandemic, almost every aspect of the human life has been affected due to this corona pandemic. South Asian countries, so far as South Asian countries are concerned, in particular, they have had to deal with the more challenging situations. Why? Because due to their large population, weak health facilities, high poverty rates, low income conditions, poor social protection system, limited access to water and sanitation, and inadequate living space which is very much necessary to maintain physical distancing and take other required measures to contain this pandemic. From the various reports, articles, the analysis revealed that COVID-19 is likely to affect economic growth, increase fiscal deficit and monetary burden, increase the risk of macroeconomic instability, decrease migration and remittances, reduce income from travel and tourism, and result in dwindling micro, small, and medium industries and informal business. This is likely to deepen poverty and increase unemployment and risks of hunger and food security. So if such issues are not addressed properly, this may reinforce existing inequalities, break social harmony, and increased tension and turbulence. The economic and social cost of the COVID-19 outbreak are therefore likely to significant and long-lasting in South Asia. So coming to the impacts, I would like to share some general facts about this pandemic. Though 80% of the extreme poor in Asia Pacific were lifted by 2015, rising inequality remains a great cause of concern. High level of informalization of labor is a worrying trend. 60% are not covered by social protection, and 40% have no access to healthcare. Now, if we see the COVID-19 impacts, it's now projected that global GDP growth slumped or will be negative for 2020 for many countries, as already mentioned by the speaker. This is likely to affect the poor and informal sector more than others. If we see the particular groups which are majorly affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and to my knowledge, these are, particularly orphans, LGBTQI, old women, children, indigenous communities, particularly Dalits in India, sex workers, beggars, homeless, and small and marginal farmers, daily wage workers in the urban areas. In South Asia, 132 million people will be pushed into extreme poverty, and inequalities will be accentuated. Demand for unpaid workers increase, bearing more burdens on women, and that time has witnessed a rise in gender-based violence.
Excuse me, you have to wrap up within another 4 minutes, please.
Okay, I will try to conclude. So I will give briefly, give overview about the major issues. So if we see the, major issues, measures taken by the countries during this pandemics. This is the table which I have adopted from the UNISCAP 2020. You can see that almost all the countries, particularly Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, from South Asia, have taken lockdown measures before month of April. And so far as international borders and travel restrictions are concerned, we have seen that tourism, has stopped. Schools have been closed, and air travel, on the other hand, have been stopped, and unnecessary have been stopped. So if we see the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that due to this COVID-19 pandemic, increase in risk of macroeconomic instability. As economic impacts are already highlighted by various speakers. So I would like to focus on social aspect of this pandemic, impact of this pandemic. So the economic pandemics are mainly, we have seen the decline in GDP growth, decline in trade volume, inflation, macroeconomic consequences, impact on migration and remittances, losing job in informal sector and MSMEs, inadequate social security coverage, effect on travel and tourism, effect on agriculture and rural livelihoods, shock in agriculture and food security due to COVID-19 pandemic. Now coming to the social cultural impacts, we have seen that physical isolation caused by the lockdowns has impacted social relationships, social interactions, and shed light on deep-rooted social norms and exclusion all over the world, including South Asia. Sudden layoffs and loss of work have led to depression, alcoholism, substance abuse, and in some cases, suicides. Although poor and disadvantaged group suffers more, newspaper reports and videos, as we have seen circulating on social media, reported that thousands of migrant workers stuck national and international borders, and we have seen few cases. Few of the migrant workers died during this, during the migration. They were unable to return to their homes, expressing a sense of abandonment, unfair treatment, and rage. The negative psychological impact of the pandemic and measures to contain it are raising concern about mental well-being, especially that of senior citizens, frontline health providers, and individuals with existing health problems. Many students whose campuses are closed find themselves stranded, often vary from their homes, and many express sense of hopelessness Sudden layoffs and loss of work have led to depression, alcoholism, as already I have mentioned, substance abuse, and in some cases suicides. Closure of schools have also denied to children, poorer households, access to midday meals, which could have adverse effects on nutrition, resulting in increased rates of stunting. It's also reported that domestic abuse of women has sharply increased during the lockdown period in many parts of South Asia. The COVID-19 pandemic has intensified the existing inequalities and further creating few new norms of exclusion. If we see that government and civil society.
Your last minute to wrap up, please.
Okay. So I will directly come to the conclusion part, policy and recommendation. Later on, I will be sending the hard copy of this file to the Policy Research Center. So coming to the conclusion, and we can say policy recommendations, I have put forward a few of the policies recommendations. Provide comprehensive social protection to the most vulnerable groups, cash transfers, health insurance, etc. Prioritize investments in education to increase chance for social mobility. Address the digital divide and provide access to technology, also related to data collection. Protect the people from environmental hazard, climate-proof agriculture and food system. Engage national and local governments through partnership, whether through direct service or delivery or policy advocacy. Establish accountability and integrity mechanism and report back to people to enhance participation. Amplify the voices of communities through all means available to provide access for the marginalized. Plan for an economic recovery from COVID-19 to deep a strategy to adapt quickly based on the situation. Avoid blanket lockdowns so that areas with low intensity risk are not affected due to the closure of the local economies. And to develop roadmap for achieving short, medium, and long-term goals to revitalize the national and substantial or sub-national economy by taking into account the specific condition and need of the poor and vulnerable group at sub-national level. Finally, boosting economic activity and investing in job creation in areas where poor or lowly skilled workers can participate and get benefits. In striving for sustainability, policy choices and investment decisions should be arranged strategically in such a way that they not only address immediate problems, but also build a long-term resilience, strengthen the existence poverty elevation program, and target poverty reduction programs in asset building and economic recovery. With this,
thank you.
I thank once again, Professor Akbaruddin Ahmad Saab for giving me an opportunity to put forward my views on this international seminar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rais Ahmed, for your wonderful presentation. I think if I could have given you more time, you could have presented a wonderful thing. You are a researcher scholar.
Inshallah, in the next time, I will, inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah, we'll see one paper from you. Now, at this stage, I will invite Shajib Hussain. Shajib Hussain is a young, energetic person from Bangladesh, now staying in Dhaka. After his SSC, he has done a 3-year diploma course in a medical training school, and now he's trying to develop his career in the healthcare sector. Shajib, you have got 8 minutes to go. Please come forward with your presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. Also, thank you, Honorable Chairman, sir, Dr. Akbaruddin, and Nilofer Kauri, ma'am. I'm sharing my screen. The serious effect of coronavirus on low-income people and ways to deal with it. Introduction. Coronavirus is a deadly terror for the world today. It is a viral airborne.
Enough time to give you. Shajib, I don't think you will find enough time to read out your introduction. You are left with only 5 minutes. So give us the important point and conclude.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. the effect of coronavirus on poor or low-income people. As of 1990, the 36% of the world's population lived below the poverty line, earning $1.90 a day or less. The class of people has suffered the most due to the lockdown for countless time around the world. The progress of the human race has come to a halt because the working people have not gone out. There has been a food crisis in the home and all the poor people. Not only the poor, but also the also some middle class families are middle class families. Middle class families are facing a crisis in food and clothing among the unemployed due to the long lockdown. Due to the damage caused to all the factories, the owners are not able to pay their dues. The situation is the same in all countries, including Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka. All workers, such as transporter workers, industrial workers.
We can't see your screen. Are you sharing the screen, Sajid?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
স্ক্রিনটা দেখা যাচ্ছে না।
Can you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, it's okay.
We can see it now.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. The situation is the same in all countries, including Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka. All workers, such as transport worker, industrial workers, construction worker, agriculture workers, in a world. The people who eat day by day are in the greatest danger. Many people have lost their jobs due to the financial loss of the big companies. Migrant workers are unable to return to work due to the closure of international flights. That is why foreign exchange earning have to be stopped. Importers and exporters are being hit hard. IMF chief one of roast global economic crisis since greatest depression of 1930s. There are no seats in government hospital due to the increased number of COVID patients, which is why people with COVID patients have to run to a private clinic. But in the case of middle and lower middle class families, is not possible to run this expensive treatment. Which is highly many people for lower middle class families are dying due to the lack of treatment. The world population is declined at a comparative rate. There is a risk of famine. Ways to get rid of
okay. Close within 2 minutes. All right, you have got only 2 minutes.
Sir, okay, sir. Ways to get rid of the deadly condition. The aspects that all of my people have to follow. We know that the coronavirus usually lasts for 14 days after which the coronavirus dies. The only way to keep the human race in this state in avoid public gathering or to stay in quarantine. Coronavirus can be prevented if we can fully quarantine these 14 days without anyone coming in contact. Frequent hand washing and use of a mask and should be made a habit, as the diseases is spread through the air and hand contact. Due to the this poverty is it not possible to keep people at home because everyone has go to out in search of food. What is of society should do. That is why the rich should help the poor in the neighborhood. We need to help the poor by donating food, clothes, and cash. Responsibility of the owner of the industrial factories. During this time of a corona lockdown, all the workers of the factory have to pay 2 months salary. Number 4, what NGO and donors should do. Creating a separate fund for corona and extending the helping hand to every household through the volunteer. Number 5.
Okay, Shajib, you have to close down. You have to close down already. Instead of 8 minutes, I have given you 10 minutes. So you please close down. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, what the government has to do. Government should enlist all the poor people and give them a month's expense and force them to stay home for a month. All meals factories and will have to provide bank loans from the government for the lockdown. By following this method, it may be possible to prevent this deadly coronavirus for the earth. Otherwise, the destruction of the human race is inevitable. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Sajib Hussain. I understand that it is he's a novice for international webinar like this, but wonderful. He has taken a lot of pain to prepare the year. So thank you, Sajib Hussain. At this stage, I am going to invite Mr. Muhammad Talha from Karachi, Pakistan, who is a senior and very highly experienced professional and consultant with sustained record of success. He has got skills in different fields like training and capacity, government reforms, organizational development. May I request our chairman, Professor Dr. Akbaruddin, to say a few words about our guest of honor today and then invite him?
Yeah, actually, he's an international consultant, and as our moderator, Honorable Advisor pointed out, he's got a huge experience and serving different countries around the world, and certain areas of Asia and Africa as well. So this consultancy assignments have been extremely good through the IMF and the World Bank, etc. So we'd like to hear from him what he has to say.
Thank you, sir. So with this, we can invite Mr. Muhammad Talha. Please give your presentation, and you understand that through this we will get the some information about Pakistan also.
Please. Is he there? Is Mr. Talha there?
Sir, I have not seen Mr. Talha, sir.
He's not there?
No, sir. No, sir, he's not there.
Not present? Okay, then let's move on. If he's not present,
so at this stage, we have got the question and answer session. If anybody, any participant, we have got, including me, we have got 18 present here. So anybody have got any question directed to any particular speaker or in general, please come up, either raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can I have a brief comment?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks so much. I was just thinking about way out, because this COVID may continue for a few more years. New normal may be a far cry. Health emergency may continue. Hospitals, clinics are full. When the curve will flatten, we don't know. Lockdowns are killing. We have a suggestion about not to go for blanket lockdowns. So a lot of suggestions are coming in. What should we choose between hunger and COVID? To a rickshaw puller, both are deadly. Hunger and COVID, life and livelihood. So based on, and you go to the villages, they are moving okay. People are not dying in the villages, especially open air. So based on that, can we go for a way out? Because COVID may continue for a few more years.
Great extent. In this context, the grassroots level, the public, even grassroots level, the leaders, maybe the village level sarpanch, and even ward members in municipalities, and even the ward level or even panchayat level, village level, village level heads, and then the educated people, maybe the young people, they're supposed to come forward and form a kind of cluster groups. We can say that the teams. So action team, maybe for every 100 people, for every 100 people or even 50 people, one action team consisting with the local teacher, a local the local panchayat administrator, and then educated people, and they will maybe doctors, or even you can see that for every the 50, you can see that people actually covering all the dimensions. They form the teams and take the assistance of the government, and then they form the teams and then identify the people who are actually suffering first of all from the food, and then it is now our humanitarian the concern and an approach, and looking at the needy people and poor people who lost their job, who lost their livelihood. And there are people have some surplus, maybe money and even food grains, and then other resources and even material. So let us now come forward and share our resources to needy people. That is the individual level. Everyone is supposed to come forward with consciousness, with a humanitarian approach. And then one thing is take care of not affecting with the corona. Even if you have that in your locality, see that it will be curtailed and then stop there itself. So with this, what we can do, that we can help the needy people, and we can just stop the the virus when we have active action team at the the bottom level, grassroots level. So besides the government and then the health department and other the frontline warriors, this is what I feel. So they actively, so the local level and then the grassroots level action teams are required to face and fight against this corona in the second wave. That is what I feel, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. It's a wonderful insight given. Actually, we have to find a way out. I was listening to a video information about New Zealand. They are talking about the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Most of the countries, they want a Prime Minister or President like the Prime Minister of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Why? Because she is not hiding anything. The problem is the government is playing with the information, hide and seek with the people. We got to, as Professor Rao has said correctly, that we have to make a cluster. It's not government alone or not the people alone. Spanish flu came in 1918. It stayed for 3 years and killed 1.5 crore people, infected 5 crore people, and vanished after 3 years. So basing on that, people are expecting that it will go, coronavirus also will go, COVID-19 will leave after 3 years, maybe it might take 5 years. But nowadays, some scientists are saying that this is not a natural virus. This is a manipulated virus. It is an artificial virus. If that is so, this is not going to go away and it is going to remain around us. It's fine. Okay. If it is going to remain around us, then life will not end. We will have to learn the word Dr. Mahfouz has used, new normal. We have to adapt with the society or with this and live our life. We got to take care of our mental health. We got to take questions, but go forward. I can see Professor Dr. Saxena is present here. Sir, if you have got some comment. A very senior professor from India, from the Department of Psychology. He is a psychology guru of all gurus. Sir, we are very happy that you have joined. If we can hear your, some inputs. Professor Saxena.
Thank you, Colonel Ashraf Sahab. I have 2 comments to make.
Okay.
One pertaining to poverty and one to how to combat this dreaded disease. My first comment is that Southeast Asian countries have teeming millions of underhoused, underfed, and underclothed people. Teeming millions. And these countries have dual economy. One from organized sector, the other from unorganized sector. The 2008-9 crackdown of economy, the world over, South Asian economy survived because of this unorganized sector. Their economic activities are laudable. But this is the group which is suffering most during this pandemic. So a lot of suggestions have been given, and I also support those suggestions. Their care should be the first priority. Now, coming to this pandemic, I had developed a model which I call ABCD of 4 Ps. AP, avoid panic. Because panic, if panic is there, then conditions are likely to worsen. BP, be proactive. All those measures which are discussed, hand washing and sanitizing and masking and physical distancing, these things are there. Be proactive. And which I concentrate most on CP is create positivity. If positivity is created, we know that psychological immune system is equally important as biological immune system. Those who are positive thinking, those who are hopeful and optimistic, those who are, high on well-being and self-esteem, if these personality traits are imbibed, if positivity is created, then a person who is positive, who has imbibed these personality traits, is likely to have better psychological immune system. There are certain tools. I have been using one tool, PISI, positive, psychological immune system inventory developed by OLA. It is a wonderful tool. We can identify those people who are low on PISI, and they can be given counseling. They can be given some other. As a matter of fact, what I have been preaching for the past several years, that it is positive parenting. There are two models. One is clinic model, the other is growth model. In clinic model, those who are identified as low on PIS, some psychological interventions, counseling, etc., can be given. But best period is if positive parenting and positive schooling, and they are right from the beginning, from babyhood and childhood, then a person may develop into a positive person, and his psychological immune system can be enhanced like anything. So these are few of and the fourth is DP, develop patience. Needless to say that proper decision making, proper problem solving, they take place only when one has patience. If he's impatient, his decision making and problem solving skills are disturbed. So I had given this model,
Thank you, sir.
what I call ABCD of 4 Ps.
Thank you very much, sir.
AP,
Thank you.
BP, CP, DP. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your wonderful input on the psychological side of it. I can see only Samim wants to.
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, can I just take few minutes?
Okay, okay.
Okay. Now, as Professor Rao said, the action team. Actually, we formed an action team, not now, just before the coronavirus, we had a flood, heavy flood. So under the local mosque, we formed, all the professionals got together and we formed an action team. Now the same team worked under this mosque during the COVID also. So we started to do some awareness programs, and we had some collaborative work, and also we got some youth clubs, young people, school leavers, young people and clubs. Now they started to do this, promote this mask, wearing mask, and we distributed masks on the road, people, those who are not doing it. Even but now they had a clash with the police and army. So we had to join work with the police and army, and just we had to reduce those stuff. So we had a very good, now what Professor Rao said is a very good idea, because these working action team, but we have to go to the grassroots level and work. So Professor Colonel Ashraf was telling that how we can go there. We can go through these young people, local clubs and young people. We can just penetrate this local society and educate them. That's what we had to do. Even now we collected more money from our village, and now we distributed ration food. The government did not do anything immediately, but we did it. The whole village, now we got together and we distributed everything. Even the health workers, now PHI and everything, they said, you can't go inside. We took the risk. Our young people said we can take the risk and go inside. We didn't work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. United, the slogan will be United we stand. United we stand against all odds and for every positive.
Sure.
So with this, I think we have already passed about 2 hours. I don't think anyone else is interested at this stage. I'll request the chair, Professor Dr. Akbaruddin, to give his closing remarks. And with this, I am saying thank you and goodbye to everybody, because with his lecture, our program finishes for today. Thank you very much, all presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Akbaruddin, sir. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, fine. I'll just take a few minutes because this is the holy month of Ramadan, and all of us are fasting, and this is a very blessed month for all of us. And I was just thinking the other day that the donations that we collect through zakat, it's a massive amount, and there has been a calculation that worldwide this amount will come to $500 billion. $500 billion. It's a massive, huge amount. So in this holy month, those of us who are well-to-do, who have surplus funds, etc., will urge them to set aside some money in the form of zakat so that, we can channel this to our poor and needy neighbors and people in the villages. I am extremely grateful to such a excellent panel of speakers today, cross-section coming from India, then Malaysia, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. And despite the fact that our CEO has just recovered from COVID himself, he has been very active today. He was there, he's present today. And I was also attacked, and I was 12 days hospitalized. And then I came back home. For 1 month, I was under convalescing. Now, of course, I have recovered. These are very difficult times that we are passing, extremely difficult times. As our CEO just mentioned, that this COVID may last for another 2 to 3 years, maybe more. We just do not know. And you see, governments cannot do everything on their own. The local supports, the people, the organizations, like we have schools, colleges, madrasas, and orphanages that we are running. We have tried to generate some funds and some activities that through these bodies, we are trying to donate food packages to the poor. We have been doing this during floods and other emergencies, and this is a massive emergency which we are trying to do on our own in a small scale in our village. There are people who are well-to-do, and certainly we'll urge them as well. And all the recommendations that we collect from you, these will be compiled and forwarded to the relevant authorities for their consideration. I thank you all for giving your valuable time. And like before, every 28th of each month, invitations will be sent out to all of you, and you'll be seeing more and more people, more and more interested researchers, administrators, and others coming in and joining this platform. PRC has really become a very vibrant organization. And as a matter of fact, for the next 2 months, our themes are already ready. And this time, there are some experts from UK who's very deeply connected with us, originally from Bangladesh, now settled in UK. He'll be a keynote speaker. We're going to discuss about banking and budgeting, etc. And the following month in June, already discussed with some experts of a very high level, again from Bangladesh, but settled there for the last 40, 50 years. And this guy is going to discuss on the digital divide. And I'll urge you and all your friends to come and join and be benefited from our meetings and discussions. I thank you all, sir, for your participation and for your valuable time and advice. Thank you, sir. Thank you
You're
very
welcome,
much.
sir.
We are very happy. We are very happy that today we got our chairman, Professor Dr. Akbaruddin, for the whole tenure. He is very sick. You can see he had been suffering. He was hospitalized. Alhamdulillah. We pray for each other. Let's
Thank you,
remain
sir.
okay and good and protected. Everybody should pray for each other. And
Yes.
now I'll request Dr. Nilufar Karim to say the vote of thanks. And with that, our program finishes. Thank you very much.
I wish you very happy Ramjan, sir. All of you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you everyone for this wonderful seminar. I would like to thank also the panel of discussants and the speakers who have spoken very well. They have given us a lot of ideas and good views about COVID and also the situation arising from COVID because of the pandemic occurring in Bangladesh and all over the world and in India and also in the worst situations in all the countries of the world. So I'm very thankful for your views and your suggestions and your recommendations. I look forward to your further recommendations that would come in the mail, and we would like to compile those and give it to the respective people. Thank you again, once again, for the speeches. Thank you, Dr. Rao, Dr. Sameen, Mr. I think Dr. Shahidul Islam, who's I think he's left, but I would like to thank everyone. Thank you, Dr. Mahfouz, for the initial speech. Thank you all from PRC and also from outside our country, India, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Thank you all. We'd like to see you in the next seminar again. Thank you very much, and you have a very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much and see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Tohid, the technical support
Sir.
for the office.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. See you soon.
And keep us motivating all the time.
Sure. Yes, please be present whenever we call you.
Ma'am, Nilufer ma'am, while doing my PhD research on Muslims in Nepal,
Right.
I got to know about the Islamic banking, and there's a provision of finance called Qard-e-Ehsan. Qard-e-Ehsan is a wonderful monetary provision a local cooperative was running. Whatever sir said, Akbaruddin sir said, the Zakat fund, they collect the money. They collect the money and they distribute it to the needy.
Yes.
Right.
The term is Qard-e-Ehsan. I was impressed a lot.
It's very nice.
And I still wish everybody is ready to do some ehsan to the needy.
Right.
And regarding what may be the solution, I suggested in one of my paper.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there needs a type of collaboration. Who can do what?
Yes.
It needs to be identified.
Thank you, Dr.
Obviously,
Chandra.
it's a joint effort. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Allah, Khuda Hafiz. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz. See you again. Inshallah, we'll meet soon.
28th of next month again. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum to all, sir.
Salam.
And sir, I have sent you a note. Akbaruddin sir, I have sent you a note on WhatsApp.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
I'll have a look.
It's a suggestion. A suggestion from a professor from USA.
Okay.
Our panel includes some more female speakers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do need.
Yeah, I see here Oppo AS5 ma'am is sitting there. I could not hear from her. I request, on behalf of my friend from USA, I do request this panel or this PRC. Let's include some more female speakers.
Certainly,
We want to
certainly.
listen our sisters. We want to listen our sisters and our mothers. What they
Certainly.
really feel.
Good idea. Brilliant idea. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
So, sir, shall I end this program?
Yeah, it has ended already. Bando karo.
Okay, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa salam.